dive into the technology to try and understand what we now have and its capabilities. It was first applied for on April 28, 2016. The hybrid aerospace underwater craft is described as being capable of incredible feats of speed and maneuverability, and can fly equally well in air, water, or in space without leaving a heat signature. This is possible, claims the patent, because the craft is able to engineer the fabric of our reality at the most fundamental level by exploiting the laws of physics. It's complicated stuff, but it's not extraterrestrial. Well, the theory has been around for a long time. There's some big questions for me as somebody who is interested in science about a power source to make these aerial vehicles really work. To move a craft through air, space, and underwater by distorting the literal space-time reality around it is only a theory. I think people have cracked it. And today, let's look at how this could possibly work and whether what I'm saying is true. The concept is fairly simple, although the engineering required to make it work is anything but. All matter contains energy on the quantum level. By theoretically creating its own incredibly dense and polarizing energy field, the hybrid craft is claimed to be able to create its own quantum vacuum, which allows itself to repel any air or water molecules with which it interacts. Throughout the patents and publications describing the hybrid aerospace underwater craft, or HAUC, the radical feats of speed and maneuverability of which the craft is supposedly capable can be achieved by coupling high-frequency axial spin, or accelerated vibration, with high-frequency vibrations of electrically charged systems. In other words, if you can create a room temperature superconductor capable of storing an incredibly high amount of energy and get that energy field created by that superconductor moving at an incredibly high speed around the craft, you could create a polarized energy vacuum around it, which allows it to basically ignore the energy of the air or water, thereby removing its own inertia and mass from the equation. The patent describes the hybrid aerospace underwater craft as roughly triangular shaped. Interestingly, the descriptions of the craft in the patent include room for a crew compartment shielded by a Faraday cage. Shortly after the hybrid craft patent, another paper was submitted, this time called Room Temperature Superconducting System for Use on a Hybrid Aerospace Undersea Craft. In this patent, it says the achievement of room temperature superconductivity, or RTSC, represents a highly disruptive technology, and adds that its military and commercial value is considerable. Controlling gravity has been something that science has wanted to do for a long time. But what exactly is gravity. The best explanation comes from Einstein. If you imagine space and time stretched out like a rubber sheet, and then an object with tremendous mass, which is both weight and size, is placed in the middle of the sheet, you can clearly see how it bends the shape of the sheet. This indentation or distortion then easily explains how planets orbit a star. But is gravity a force like electromagnetism? This question was recently answered with the detection of gravity waves, opening the door to a possibility that the force of gravity could be manipulated. The principle behind this is not new. This is an extract from a paper dated September 1962 called Guidelines to Anti-Gravity. Einstein's general theory of relativity provides a number of ways to generate non-Newtonian gravitational forces. All of these forces could be used to counteract the gravitational field of the Earth, thus acting as a form of anti-gravity. Gravitational properties of matter. In studying analogies between electromagnetism and gravitation, it can be seen that one analogous quality has not been investigated. This is the gravitational equivalent to the magnetic permeability. Dense materials. It has been emphasized that in order to achieve measurable gravitational effects with moderate amounts of mass, dense matter is required. The Patent Office rejected the Navy's application. After it was rejected, the Navy's patent attorney appealed the decision and submitted further documentation to ensure that the Patent Office that this craft is indeed enabled. He went on to say, the Navy has already begun a series of experiments to design and demonstrate advanced high-energy, high-power propulsion systems, as described in this patent. One of these patents depicts a curiously and distinctly shaped gravitational wave generator that resembles the tic-tac shaped object. The striking similarity between the tic-tac shaped object and the patent application is intriguing, but is still a mystery. Clearly, this narrative is being closely controlled by the Navy. I believe that in the coming few weeks, we are going to have to see a revelation. I think they're up against the wall with foreign powers, China, Russia potentially. I personally believe that the US Navy need to drip feed this information to people like me who make films for you, because they're about to tell us.
All these photographs were allegedly taken from the USS Trepang submarine in March 1971. The first photograph taken through the periscope shows a triangular-shaped object When enlarged and color processed, an illuminated edge can be seen. This is consistent with a hole that has been charged with a very high voltage. Townsend Brown discovered electrogravitics in 1924 and began working on electrified holes that defied gravity and moved at fast speeds. Bob Lazar said the craft he saw made a hissing sound when taking off, like a high-voltage hiss. Joe Adamski was warned to stay away from the edge of the craft, but got too close and received an electric shock even though he didn't touch. These modern examples of the craft show similarities to the older craft. These were taken with a digital camera, but in 1971 it would have been a film camera. This fact, plus the age of the photographs, may account for the differences in colour. There were some notes with the photos claiming this was a military exercise. Would an alien craft take the chance of being amongst so much firepower? If it is the TR3B, few people would have been told of its existence, only those in charge of the operation. The target is destroyed possibly by a combination of the submarine and the TR3B. The craft appears to be monitoring the blimp's descent, perhaps to assess the destructive capability of a new type of weapon. The green edging emphasizes the craft's underside. The 1971 craft may have been an early version of the TR3B. In 1973, Edgar Fouché and friends observed the TR3B on 2 occasions at Edwards Air Force Base. He claims anti-gravity is accomplished using a nuclear-powered spinning magnetic field. From this photograph, I obtained this enlargement. I've highlighted the main features. The 3 steering thrusters are visible and some banding on the edge. I tried to clarify the central area. This is the best I could do. These photographs lend credence to those retired Army personnel who state a base was on the Moon and Mars before 1970. It has been stated by several government employees the TR3B can go to the Moon in 90 minutes.
Bye.